If you watched part one of Power and Strength Under the Beast, you'll remember we were talking about how the 10 kings are giving their power and strength to the beast system. Daniel 2 and 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. They who mingle themselves with the seed of men in verse 43 are the kings of verse 44 and Revelation 17. They will attempt to change the genetics or seed of mankind as part of a hostile takeover. An explanation of the possible fulfillment of Matthew 24:37 and Daniel 2:41 to 44 comes from persons who have allegedly been abducted by aliens. According to the abductees, the alien or ETs are conducting a hybridization integration program involving a takeover of human society, aided by the hybrids. Gradually, the population of hybrids will be increased. If this seems like science fiction, please remember that the Bible predicts the last days would be like the days of Noah, Matthew 24:37. The aliens, fallen angel manifestations, or Nephilim, are producing hybrids by mixing their DNA with that of human women, as happened in Noah's day, Genesis 6 and 4. The aliens routinely extract reproductive material from humans to create alien-human hybrids. Many female abductees report having been impregnated only to have the fetus removed after a few weeks in the womb. Abductees say that they very often encounter alien-human hybrids during abduction experiences. Contactees report that the change will remove all unenlightened people from Earth. According to UFO religion, the aliens are our space brothers, and the change is the start of a golden age of enlightenment. They believe that aliens are here as mankind's savior. They will save us from man-made and natural disasters. They have guided the evolution of mankind from the beginning, and in fact, are our creator. Explaining the research of Dr. David Jacobs, a retired professor of history at Temple University. Why would the ETs create these hybrids? Further confusing things, in the book Meet the Hybrids, the authors present the accounts of 8 persons who claim to be alien-human hybrids. Their stories tell of astral travels, channeling extraterrestrial spirits, and meeting different ET entities. One of the individuals taught light languages, which she claimed are like speaking in tongues in a Pentecostal church. Another claimed to have been born to Pentecostal parents, but received alien DNA at age 6, transforming her into a hybrid. All seek to share their wisdom with humanity and mostly have a positive evaluation of aliens. See 2 Corinthians 11:14. We want to acknowledge that it's right to be skeptical about reports of contact and abduction of humans by aliens. These reports only make sense if we realize that the aliens are demonic or Nephilim manifestations. Contact with demons has been reported back to ancient times. The bizarre demonic manifestations in the form of extraterrestrials should not surprise us because we understand the deceptive nature of the enemy. This is perfect camouflage. Most people can't see this because it seems unbelievable and ridiculous. Jacobs, whose last book, Walking Among Us, The Alien Plan to Control Humanity, was published in 2015, has come to the conclusion that there is a sinister side to the hybridization program. Reports from abductees about the change are increasing in frequency. According to Jacobs' research, the start of the change has begun. He reports that the abductees are becoming increasingly active in the process, assisting the covert hybrids in the integration. According to Dr. Jacobs' research, since around 1998, abductees and hybrids have been working undercover to help prepare for a takeover. Abductees have been manipulated and controlled to accomplish training of hybrids in how to behave in human society as to not attract attention to themselves. Some abductees have been given telepathic abilities as possessed by aliens and hybrids. This is control to help them control other humans during the takeover. According to Dr. Jacobs' research, the end of the change will be a world takeover by the aliens. Dr. Jacobs has worked with 140 abductees over a period of 30 plus years. In his work, he came to many disturbing conclusions. He is looking at this from a non biblical viewpoint. Dr. Jacobs is very concerned about the aliens' agenda. I am very, very unsettled and upset by what I see. I wish I hadn't uncovered this. I despair of this. So, what we have here is an abduction program, a breeding program, which accounts for all the reproductive activity that we see, and a hybridization program. I think all this is leading into an integration program. They do not want us to know what they're doing. Before we talk about the secret space program, let's first talk about DARPA. At the Pentagon in 1957, there was a shock that the Soviets had been first to put an artificial satellite into orbit, but being behind in the space race was not the main area of concern. Sputnik had been launched by a Soviet ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile. The Pentagon knew that soon the Soviets would have the capability of striking the U.S. by ICBMs with nuclear warheads. ARPA was established the following year. Its mission was to develop advanced weapons and weapons systems. The new agency was to anticipate and plan for future defense needs so that the U.S. would be prepared to meet changing enemy military capabilities. ARPA was thrown immediately into the east-west tensions of the Cold War. The CIA turned over the spy satellite program to ARPA in 1958. After Vietnam, ARPA reinvented itself as DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, with a long list of innovations. Aerospace and cyberspace innovations. Stealth reconnaissance aircraft were developed in Vietnam to fly silently and not be detected by the enemy. Work continued to develop aircraft that could not be detected by radar. Use of the Lockheed F-117A stealth fighter was key to the quick U.S. victory in the Gulf War. The Internet. In 1968, ARPA began to connect computer systems at different locations called nodes. The goal of this internet work, or ARPANET, was to increase knowledge by joining computers together. This is, of course, was the beginning of the internet. Laser-guided missiles. In Vietnam, laser-guided bombs were used with great effectiveness. The technology was deployed too late in the war to affect its outcome. The use of drones to direct laser-guided bombs was introduced soon after. Laser-guided munitions were used extensively in the Gulf War. Drones, primarily used for reconnaissance during the Vietnam War, drones were equipped with infrared sensors and camera systems. During the Gulf War, more advanced drones could find enemy targets and guide attacks. Hypersonic drones may already be operational. Eventually, the plan is for drones to become fully autonomous, able to kill without being commanded by humans. GPS, or Global Positioning System. In Vietnam, GPS was begun as a satellite system, giving precise coordinates for guided missiles. The Navstar GPS system began operating in 1989 and consisted of 24 satellites equipped with atomic clocks. Navstar gave the U.S. precise coverage of the whole world. Assault Breaker. DARPA developed a system of systems in the 1970s called Assault Breaker. It consisted of sensors, radar, cameras, drones, and laser-guided weapons linked by the ARPANET or Internet and backed by computer analysis. The system had its first real test in the Gulf War. The SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. President Reagan didn't like the idea of the U.S. being vulnerable to nuclear attacks from the Soviet Union. In 1983, he proposed SDI as a high-tech shield that would intercept incoming missiles. His thinking was that DARPA had the science to put together a system of satellite surveillance and lasers to track and shoot the missiles down. With the end of the Cold War, most support for the program was lost. Biomimetics. This is the science of creating machines that mimic the appearance and or functioning of an animal. Many of these are MAVs, micro air vehicles, which may resemble birds, bats, or flying insects. They are used for reconnaissance or targeting a specific enemy. Brain, or brain research through advanced innovative neurotechnologies. In 2013, DARPA officially began research under the BRAIN program. The research is being used to augment the brains of soldiers in communication, intelligence, and interface with weapons systems. Autonomy. DARPA is moving quickly towards the goal of creating self-governing systems and machinery. This includes drones which can locate and destroy a target without human guidance. The machines determine and accomplish the intermediate steps required to arrive at the desired result. This is a roadmap to advanced AI, artificial intelligence, with the intent of increasing U.S. military supremacy. In March 2020, the newly formed U.S. Space Force announced that the Space Fence was operational. This is a space-based radar tracking program begun in 2009 by the U.S. Air Force to track satellites and space debris. U.S. spy satellite activity began at the dawn of the space age in the 1950s to monitor Cold War threats from the Soviet Union and UFOs. From the beginning, U.S. satellites had the capability of monitoring enemies on Earth and the UFO threat from space. One leaked database revealed that 283 fast walkers, or UFOs, were sighted by the Defense Satellite Program from 1973 to 1991. The high ground of space superiority is sought by constant surveillance and advanced space weapons systems. From 1952 to 1962, aircraft carrier USS Franklin D. Roosevelt had 5 reported encounters with UFOs. It was the first American aircraft carrier outfitted with nuclear weapons. The cat and mouse UFO activities involving the USS Franklin D. Roosevelt are typical of the kind of incidents the U.S. military can only have seen as hostile or provocative. Similar and more recent events include the 2004 UFO wave seen from the USS Nimitz and the 2014 to 2015 USS Theodore Roosevelt UFO encounters. Going back to the Korean and Vietnam Wars, serious injury and even fatalities occurred during UFO activity. Incidents involving the USS Franklin D. Roosevelt were some of the earliest cases of UFOs monitoring nuclear weapons capabilities. In the period from 1966 to 1975, Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana was visited several times by large, glowing, disc-shaped craft which disabled nuclear ICBMs. Similar incidents happened at Ellsworth Air Force Base, South Dakota, in 1966 and in 1978. At Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota in the 1965 to 1967 timeframe, a UFO passed over 10 missile silos, monitoring each in turn and initiating the launch sequence. At the Nevada Proving Ground in the late 1950s, UFOs were tracked on radar during nuclear detonations. 18 rotating silver dish-shaped objects were seen visually above the Yucca Flat Nevada test site in 1951. Pacific hydrogen bomb tests conducted in the 1950s were accompanied by frequent UFO sightings tracked by the Navy. All witnesses were sworn to secrecy, but some accounts have surfaced to reveal details. Faced with the provocative and dangerous UFO threat, the U.S. responded by attempting to match UFO technology. Understanding anti-gravity propulsion became the key focus of Black Project efforts. Anti-gravity propulsion, a powerful electric charge, interacts with the zero-point energy field and gravity forces. In America, serious research began in the 1930s by experimental physicist Thomas Townsend Brown. In Germany in the 1930s and throughout World War II, Nazi scientists were busy with anti-gravity technology. By the 1970s, and evidently as a result of Brown's experiments, Lockheed Skunk Works claimed to have found an error in the equations, leading to breakthroughs in anti-gravity research. UFO crash retrievals have allowed scientists to study alien technology. It's difficult to say what manner of black budget aircraft and spacecraft are now in operation, given more than 60 years of development time and huge financial support. If true, this would greatly empower the breakaway civilization. NASA's charter separates it into public and secret or military areas. Also written into NASA's charter is a requirement that no classified information related to national security will be revealed by the agency. An extensive hidden space program may include lunar military bases. Hiring German scientists who were ardent Nazis violated the orders of President Truman. Nevertheless, they were hired, a breakaway civilization activity. Not NASA and the Nazis. In the early 70s, the Apollo manned moon landing program was canceled by NASA. After 6 manned landings from 1969 to 1972, the moon was no longer a priority. 10 manned landings had originally been planned to gain information about the lunar environment and prepare for a permanent moon base. If a lunar base was ever built for national security reasons, it would not be acknowledged by NASA. The space race began during World War II when Nazi Germany was well ahead of the Allies in many areas of military technology. In retaliation for the Normandy invasion of June 1944 and the round the clock aerial bombing of their country, The Nazis sent vengeance weapons raining down on London, the V-1 and V-2 rockets, which killed more than 55,000 civilians. V-2 technology was later used to start the American space program. Jet aircraft design was greatly advanced by the Nazis. The first operational jet aircraft, the Me-262, was flown by the Germans in April 1944, just before the end of the war in Europe. Immediately after the war, it was thought that the Nazi program to produce an atomic bomb was a failure. However, more recent research has called this into question. There is evidence of atomic bomb tests at Rügen Island in North Germany. If these and other corroborating reports are true, it appears that just before the fall of Berlin, Germany was very close to having the weaponry needed to win the war. Anti-gravity technology was considered by the German military as the most important of the super-secret exotic areas of research. The German High Command had given the project the designation decisive for the war, whereas other projects such as the V-2 were given the designation important for the war. Because of this distinction, it seems likely that the Nazis hoped that the anti-gravity technology could be developed in what they called a wonder weapon, decisive for the war in their favor. As the American, British, and Soviet armies encircled Berlin, U.S. General Patton diverted his forces to South Central Germany and Czechoslovakia, attempting to salvage German weapons technology before the Soviets could get it. Much of the technology had already been evacuated. To keep knowledge of the anti-gravity program secret, the SS executed 62 scientists involved in the project. NASA and the occult. Occultism and mysticism had always been a part of the Nazi belief system. The Nazism of Hitler and Himmler can be traced back to Aryan cults, the Teutonic Knights, the Knights Templar, and ancient Egypt. The SS under Himmler was full of quasi-Masonic ritual, the Masons having a long association with Egyptian religion. Satanic influence had also infiltrated the rocket propulsion research community in the U.S. The research had been advancing rapidly in America, in large part due to the efforts of chemical engineer and rocket scientist Jack Parsons. Parsons was deeply involved with the occult and infamous Satanist Aleister Crowley, and their occult view included obsession with ancient Egyptian religion. In the mid-1930s, Parsons partnered with researcher Theodore von Karman to form the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, located in the Devil's Canyon area of Southern California. The JPL became part of NASA after its formation in 1958. The nexus of three groups in NASA, JPL occultists, Nazis, and Freemasons, formed a unified belief system. The common thread was an obsession with ancient Egypt and the gods Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Set. Perhaps it is not coincident that NASA chose Apollo as the name of the manned lunar program. The Greek god Apollo is associated with the angel of the bottomless pit, Revelation 9 and 11, and with the Egyptian god Osiris. Insiders from government, military, and industry claim they are in contact with galactic federations. In fact, this may be what the Bible refers to as principalities and powers. The UFO phenomena may be preparing the world to accept the Star Trek scenario, humanity joining alien civilizations and becoming part of a galactic civilization. This potentially would greatly empower the breakaway civilization. It should be remembered that behind all the power transfer structures are the 10 demonic kings of Revelation 17. By genetic manipulation, they will transform themselves into human form. In Daniel 7 and 8, there there is a description of a little horn, seen to be the Antichrist, which comes up between 10 horns, the 10 demonic kings, on a beast with great iron teeth. The Antichrist begins at a lower level but is raised up to stand with the 10 kings. This is a manifestation of Satan in human form, raised by hybridization to the level of the 10 human/demonic kings, the crowning achievement of transhumanism. The Antichrist is genetically modified, specifically with recombinant satanic DNA, and is no longer truly human. He has become the beast. Revelation 13. Transhumanism is the idea that the physical and mental nature of humankind can be enhanced or even completely transformed by science and technology. Enhancement is the key word. Transhumanism doesn't just seek to correct defects, but to upgrade the mind and body. Much of the world's population will also undergo genetic transformation, seeking to self-evolve and become a new and higher species. On the cellular level, nanotechnology will utilize micro-machines, micro-robots, and biological machines. On the genetic level, bioengineering will transform human DNA. Gene therapy techniques will be used to replace human DNA with synthetic genes. In theory, this non-human DNA will be sustainable for a limitless amount of time. Many will look at this as a positive thing, not really realizing that human hybridization is actually forsaking the image of God. It should be remembered that transhuman is already here. For example, there is a new method for treating paralysis. Swiss scientists have treated paraplegics with cervical spinal cord injuries. They have been able to walk with some assistance and training. They have been given a wireless implant which gives electrical stimulation to the spinal cord. This is not considered to be true transhumanism because it corrects a defect called paraplegia. Lockheed Martin has won a Pentagon contract to design and manufacture exoskeletons for soldiers. Worn on the legs, the exoskeleton uses sensors and AI artificial intelligence to enhance the soldiers' movements. This helps to overcome the fatigue the soldiers experience carrying up to 140 pounds of equipment onto the battlefield. This is part of the move toward transhumanism by the military. Neuralink under Elon Musk has inserted a computer chip into a paraplegic's brain to improve his quality of life. The Antichrist will control an army of enhanced humans. The soldiers will wear exoskeletons to increase strength, endurance, and performance. The exoskeletons will be computerized with vision, hearing, and touch enhancement. Military cyborgs will be super soldiers, merging man and machine. For both soldiers and civilians, the merger of man and machine has hazards. AI is already being used to hack into electronic devices, gain information, and spread disinformation. Theoretically, it is also possible for a cyborg to be hacked. Governments will attempt to control cyborg citizens by AI hacking. Enemy powers will attempt to control each other's cyborg soldiers. There is also the danger of spiritual hacking. Once someone has become a cyborg, that person would be more vulnerable to control by an outside spiritual entity. The technological spiritual takeover will occur when the second beast, the false prophet, leads mankind to create the image of the beast and causes it to live. Revelation 13. Verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the beast, unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. It may be that the technological entity created will be an AI network of immense godlike power, controlled by the false prophet and the Antichrist. The image may be a hologram able to appear to the whole world at one time. Life will be given to the image of the beast through transhumanism, AI, and satanic infestation. The spiritual framework for worship of the beast is already being set up. There is already a new religion of AI called Way of the Future, which seeks to create the divine AI God. There is also the question, will transhumanism only be for the technological, military, government elite? Will it create a suppressed subclass, as indicated in Revelation chapter 13? The final component of the breakaway civilization is a religious, political, economic system, Mystery Babylon. This is a system combining paganism, Roman Catholicism, and New Age religion. Roman Catholicism accepts aliens as space brothers. This is the rise of Roman Catholicism as a political arm of the world religion in agreement with the Antichrist. If past history is repeated, Roman Catholicism will eventually declare itself as the only legal form of Christianity and continue persecution of biblical Christians and others that don't accept the Space Brothers. New Age religion is dominated by pagan beliefs and ET or fallen angel obsession. Their beliefs related to ETs comes from an alleged direct contact, channeling, and telepathic messages. The New Age movement is a loose affiliation of thousands of groups. Its roots come from Babylonian religion, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, astrology, and other teachings. They believe that humans are essentially God, but the realization must be awakened to attain oneness with the Creator God. They believe in reincarnation, Darwinian evolution, godlike avatars, salvation by works, interconnectedness of all things, and capital masters, which they say includes Jesus. The goal of the New Age movement is to unify the world under one world religion and one world government. They believe this will bring world peace. To do this, it will be necessary to abolish all systems based on the Bible and convert all Western religions and philosophies into those of the Eastern world. Other religions will be accepted if they accept the Space Brothers. Focusing on Mystery Babylon in the next few slides. Mystery Babylon, paganism, Roman Catholicism, New Age religion. 21st century under the microscope. Revelation 17 and 18. Behind the symbolism. Revelation chapter 17 and 18 are about the rise and fall of Mystery Babylon. This is a mysterious combination of Freemasonry, Roman Catholicism, New Age religion, UFO religion. It is full of secret ritual and rule by an elite class. Mystery Babylon is not only a corrupt religious system, but it gives birth to other corrupt religious systems. Some review definitions. Mystery Babylon, symbolized by the great city or great whore. 10 kings, symbolized by 10 horns. 7 mountains or 7 kings, the 7 heads. 8th king, associated with the seven kings. The beast system, the peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues, the waters that the beast system is arising from. Bible scholars have had difficulty identifying the seven kings. It makes more sense if we consider that the seven kings are not human. There were 5 demonic kings already fallen at the time that Revelation was written. The first is Nimrod. The Bible says that Cush was Nimrod's father. In Mesopotamian religion, Nimrod's name is Ninurta and was the son of Enlil, a god. Nimrod was transformed from being Cush's son to become the son of the god Enlil, and he was an Antichrist forerunner. Scholars have compared the description of Enlil in Mesopotamian religion with the description of Lucifer in Isaiah chapter 14. There are so many similarities that we can conclude that Enlil is in fact Lucifer. Scholars identify Lucifer as a satanic manifestation. He is likely the second of the fallen demonic kings. Osiris was a powerful post-flood Nephilim, fallen angel, human hybrid. Some believe he will return as his son, Horus. Malkart was the satanic manifestation as the king of Tyre, mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 28. Baal Hamon was a god who demanded human sacrifice. Scholars believe he is the same as the Greek god Kronos, and it looks like he is the last of the 5 fallen demonic kings. Zeus, who was the son of Kronos, was a satanic manifestation. His temple at Pergamos was excavated by the Germans and moved to Berlin prior to World War II. Zeus is the same as Jupiter, chief Roman god of John's time. The last of the 7 demonic kings is Apollo, son of Jupiter, or Zeus. He must continue a short space, perhaps long enough to set up the Antichrist. Apollo is a sun god and may be the same as Osiris, who was also a sun god. The 8th king, associated with the 7, is the beast or Antichrist. The 10 kings are likely the Ennead. Unlike the 6 out of 7 kings, the 10 kings had not received a kingdom in John's time, but they will be in human form like the Antichrist, Daniel 7 and 8. The Ennead were the demonic kings defeated by Yahweh at the Exodus. But the Ennead is a council of 9 gods. 9 is a sacred number which has a mystical relation to 1 and 10. John West in Serpent in the Sky. The grand Ennead emanates from the absolute or central fire. In the terminology of Pythagoras, the 9 netters or principles circumscribed about 1, the absolute, becomes both 1 and 10. This is a symbolic analog of the original unity. It is repetition, the return to the source. In Egyptian mythology, the process is symbolized by Horus, the divine son who avenges the murder and dismemberment by Set of his father Osiris. So 9 equals 10, the 10 kings of Daniel and Revelation. In the Bible, the Ennead is revealed to be used by God to accomplish his purpose, and he will pass judgment on the 10 demonic gods. The rise and fall of the beast system, some scriptures to review on later as you get time. Mystery Babylon will become a prison for corrupt demonic and Nephilimic entities. God's people will be separated from those in prison. Part of the merchandise of Rome is religious deception extending through the trade routes. in the ancient Roman Empire. From Ezekiel 28, the fallen god king of Tyre, as we just showed, he was actually a manifestation of Satan. The account of his merchandise parallels that of Mystery Babylon in Revelation 18. Our modern trade network, based on the AI internet, will be vulnerable to a catastrophic breakdown. Revelation 13:5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power words given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. I consider the horns, Daniel 7:8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. The image of the beast Antichrist will be broadcast and worshipped worldwide. Babylon, the world religion, has fallen. The beast, the world leader and government, is in power but is at war with the Lamb, the Lord Jesus Christ. The beast Antichrist will be defeated at the return of Jesus. Revelation 19:11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. Thank you very much.